If you freeze when you speak English, it's not because you lack vocabulary. It's because you allow silence to take over. That silence is the enemy. It makes you look like a beginner, even if you know the grammar. Stop doing this. In this episode, we are going to fix that hesitation immediately using the active pausing technique. I'm going to give you the 5 exact safety words native speakers use to steal time while they think. Master these, and you will never freeze in English again. Welcome back to English Speaking Corner. I'm Sarah, and today we are tackling the single biggest fear for English learners, which is the fear of getting stuck. You know that feeling when your brain just stops and the room goes quiet? It is terrifying.
It really is, Sarah. I'm Mark, and I've seen so many students who have excellent grammar scores, B2 or even C1 level on paper. But the moment they have to answer a spontaneous question, they panic, they freeze. And today, we are going to prove that fluency isn't about speaking fast. It is about never running out of sound.
Exactly. It is about keeping the flow alive. We are going to look at a very specific scenario today, perhaps the most high-pressure situation you can face, which is a job interview. We will play a bad version where the speaker freezes, and then we will play a fluent version using the 5 safety words. Mark, before we get to the examples, what do we mean by safety words?
Think of them as bridges. When you are speaking, your brain has to do 2 things at once. It has to think of the idea, and it has to translate that idea into English words. Sometimes the translation creates a lag. If you don't build a bridge over that lag, you fall into silence. Safety words are the fillers that keep the engine running while you search for the vocabulary. They signal to the listener that you are not finished, you are just thinking.
That is such a key distinction. Silence signals that you are done or confused. A filler word signals that you are processing. So let's introduce our 5 words for today. These are the tools we are going to use to fix the hesitation. Mark, start us off with the first one.
The first one is the classic. It is the word well. But it's not just the word, it is how you say it. You don't just say well quickly, you stretch it out. Will. It buys you about 2 seconds of thinking time right at the start of a sentence.
Right. It's perfect for answering difficult questions. Instead of staring blankly, you say, well, that is an interesting point. It gives your brain a moment to patch up. What is number 2?
Number 2 is you know. This is incredibly common in American English especially. You use this when you are searching for a specific word or trying to make the listener agree with you. It implies a connection. It says, hey, we're in this together, give me a second.
I use that one all the time. It really softens the tone. Number 3 is one of my favorites for correcting yourself. It is the word actually.
Yes, actually is powerful. If you say something and realize it wasn't quite right, or if you want to change the direction of your thought, don't stop and stutter. Just say actually and pivot to the new idea. It sounds intentional rather than accidental.
And number 4?
Number 4 is I mean. This is the rephrasing tool. If you say a sentence and it comes out with bad grammar or it's not clear, you use I mean to restart the sentence without apologizing. Never say sorry about your English. Just say, I mean, and try again.
I love that rule. Never say sorry, just say I mean. And the last one, number 5?
Number 5 is the most honest one. It is let me see or let's see. This is literally telling the listener, I am thinking right now. It is totally acceptable to say this even in a formal interview. It sounds thoughtful, not confused.
Okay, so we have well, you know, actually, I mean, and let me see. Now, let's hear how most people handle pressure without these words. We are going to role play a short interview segment. Mark, you be the interviewer. Ask me a tough question. I will respond as a student who doesn't use safety words.
All right, let's set the scene. You're in a nice office, you are nervous, and I ask you this. So, Sarah, tell me about a time you had to deal with a difficult coworker. How did you handle it?
There was a man, he was angry. I didn't know what to do, so spoken to him.
Okay, cut. Let's stop right there. That was painful to listen to.
It felt painful to do. I felt the heat rising in my face. Every time I stopped, the silence felt so heavy, and I could feel you judging me.
And as the listener, I was judging you. Not because I'm mean, but because the silence makes me uncomfortable. I don't know if you understood the question. I don't know if you are finished. It breaks the trust in the conversation.
Exactly. The silence made me look like I didn't have the answer, even though I did have a story in my head. I just couldn't get the words out fast enough. Now let's flip the script. We are going to do the exact same scenario, same question, but this time I am going to use the 5 safety words we just discussed. Listen closely to how the vibe changes. Action. So, Sarah, tell me about a time you had to deal with a difficult coworker. How did you handle it? Well, there was a man. He was angry. I didn't know what to do, so I spoken to him. Well, that is a great question. Let me see. I remember at my last job, there was a project manager who was very demanding. You know, the type of person who wants everything done yesterday. Actually, he wasn't just demanding, he was quite aggressive. I mean, he raised his voice during meetings, so I decided to invite him for coffee to talk about it calmly.
And cut. That was night and day, Sarah. That sounded completely fluent.
But here is the secret, Mark. I was still thinking. I didn't have the answer instantly ready. When I said, well, I was buying time to remember the story. When I said, I was searching for the word demanding. When I said, I was fixing my description of him. The hesitation was still there, but the silence was gone.
That is the breakthrough. You replaced the silence with sound. And because you kept the sound going, you sounded confident. You sounded like you were in control of the language, rather than the language being in control of you.
This is something everyone listening can do today. It doesn't require memorizing a textbook. It just requires a shift in habit. If you are enjoying this breakdown and want to build real confidence in your daily life, make sure you subscribe to English Speaking Corner. We produce these dialogue lessons to help you practice calmly without the pressure of a real classroom.
Let's go deeper into the mechanics of this, Sarah. I want to break down that answer you gave, specifically the phrase, let me see. A lot of students think saying that makes them look slow.
I disagree completely. In fact, in Western culture, pausing to think before you answer a complex question is seen as a sign of intelligence. It shows you are considering your answer carefully. If you answer too fast, it can sometimes look robotic or rehearsed. Saying, let me see, gives you permission to pause. It puts the listener on hold effectively.
That is a great point. It's about taking ownership of the time. Now let's look at I mean. You used it to clarify that he wasn't just demanding, he was aggressive. This is a technique called self-correction. Native speakers do this constantly. We rarely speak in perfect sentences. We start a sentence, realize it's not quite right, and then fix it.
Right. We might say, it was a big dog. It was huge. That is natural English. The problem is that learners feel like they have to produce a perfect sentence on the first try. That is impossible. Even I don't do that. By using I mean, you give yourself a second chance to get the vocabulary right.
Let's try a little practice for our listeners. I want you to shadow us. I'm going to say a sentence with a hesitation, and I want you to repeat it exactly, including the filler word. We will leave a pause for you to speak. Ready? Here is the first one using well.
Well, I'm not sure about that.
Go ahead, say it. Well, I'm not sure about that. Stretch out the well.
Okay, here is the second one using
It was a difficult situation, you know?
Try that. It was a difficult situation, Pitch your voice up at the end on It turns it into a check for understanding.
Good. Let's try one with actually.
I thought he was angry, but actually, he was just tired.
Repeat that. I thought he was angry, but actually, he was just tired. See how actually serves as a pivot point? It flips the sentence.
This kind of shadowing is crucial because these words need to become muscle memory. You shouldn't have to think about using them. They should just fall out of your mouth whenever your brain gets stuck.
Exactly. It's like a reflex. When you trip walking down the street, you put your hands out to catch yourself.
When you trip in a sentence, you throw out a you know or a let me see to catch yourself.
Let's talk about overusing them, though. Is that a risk?
It is a risk, yes. If you say like every 2 words or you know every 3 seconds, it can become distracting. But honestly, for most learners I meet, the problem is the opposite. They are too afraid to use any fillers, so they sound robotic or they freeze. I would rather you overuse these words and keep speaking than underuse them and stay silent.
I agree. Fluency is flow. Anything that maintains the flow is good. I want to revisit the job interview context for a moment. Imagine you are asked about your weaknesses. That is a trap question. It is very easy to freeze there. How would you use these words to navigate that?
Okay, that's a tough one. If you ask me what is your biggest weakness, I would probably start with a long well. I'd say, well, that is something I've been working on. Let's see. I think sometimes I can be a bit too detailed. I mean, I spend too much time checking my work.
That was perfect. You used 3 of our safety words in 2 sentences. And notice how it made the answer sound very sincere. It didn't sound like you memorized a script from Google. It sounded like you were analyzing yourself in the moment.
That authenticity is what gets you hired, and it is what makes people want to be your friend. When you speak perfect, scripted English, you create a distance. When you speak natural, messy English with fillers and corrections, you create connection. You sound human.
So, to recap the strategy for our listeners, Step 1, accept that hesitation is normal. Do not fear it. Step 2, ban silence. Make a rule for yourself that you will never allow more than 1 second of dead air. Step 3, deploy the safety words. Use well to start, let me see to think, you know to connect, actually to pivot, and I mean to fix. If you can do that, you will transform your speaking from A2 or B1 level into something that feels fluent and confident. It is the quickest hack to sounding like a native speaker without learning a single new grammar rule. We want you to try this today, not tomorrow, today. Talk to yourself in the mirror. Ask yourself a hard question like, what do I think about climate change? Or, why do I want to learn English? Force yourself to use at least 3 of these safety words in your answer. And don't forget to listen to how native speakers talk in movies or podcasts. Once you know these words, you will hear them everywhere. You will realize that even presidents and CEOs use I mean and you know constantly. Thank you so much for joining us in the English Speaking Corner. If you found this dialogue helpful, please click the like button so we know to make more episodes about speaking tactics. And remember, confidence is just preparation in action. You have the tools now. Go out there and make some noise. No more silence. See you in the next episode. Goodbye.